Hey there, it's Chloe. I play Kristi on From, and you're watching Pop Culturist with Pat.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. So I am so excited to be joined by today's guests. Today we are going to be talking all things from with Kristi herself, Chloe Van Landschoot. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Chloe.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
You are very welcome. So just to kind of to start things off, so I mean, you've been living with and exploring this character Kristi now for 3 seasons on the
Yeah.
series. What has that kind of just been like getting to, explore these different areas with this character for such a long period now?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of my first time being with someone for that length of time, so it's been a total journey. She's really special to me. I'm also a nurse, a registered nurse. I've been one since 2016. So playing a healthcare worker on camera and also being an artist at the same time, having those two things intersect, yeah, I really had to look inward at a lot of my own stuff. So it can be really scary to do that because it's all also being reflected back publicly, but also, yeah, when you're an actor, it's also really therapeutic and yeah, it feels really beautiful to be able to share the messiness of what it means to be human and especially yeah share some of those lived experiences I've had as well through playing this character. We are very different in many ways, but I think there's a lot of core humanity to her that exists in me too, so it's been really cool to yeah explore my own humanity and also hers.
And so you kind of touched on it a little bit there, but I was reading like another interview where you had a hand in, making the decision to make your character queer and the fact that
Mm,
you have your healthcare background coming into this as well. So
yeah.
is this one of, if not your most personal characters to date? And what does that just kind of mean to you to get to play such a personal character for yourself? You kind of touched on it a little bit there, but
Yeah, no, totally, by far the most personal, um, by a long shot. Yeah, and like I said before, it's just like being able to have a hand in the creation of that character too, and have the team trust me as a medical provider as well to have yeah creative input and intel into making those scenes where Kristi is um, doing those types of tasks and actions. Yeah, it's really rewarding as an actor to be that involved because sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes
yeah.
you just got to say the lines and do the thing, and like you don't get that creative say. But yeah, to be able to bring so much of who I am to a character, yeah, and also my queerness, like yeah, it's special, and things like that don't come around very often. So
So it
yeah,
sounds
it's been
like,
a
yeah, it
trip.
was just like it's been like a very collaborative environment overall between that. And I'm sure they definitely appreciated you bringing like the healthcare worker aspect as well, because that's like one of those things that if they were to get something wrong as far as like that aspect goes, and people watching it, maybe if they are in the healthcare field watching it and going, even though it's a TV show and it's fiction and stuff like that, people would be like, but that's not how that would really work, and that
Totally.
could throw people out.
Yeah. And I mean, I've been that type of viewer who's like yelling at the TV, being like, "That's not how that's done. That's not how you put a ventilator tube in. What are you guys doing?" I'm just like berating the television. So yeah, I like made it my mission to not put any of my healthcare worker colleagues and fellow comrades through that. So I tried to have as much accuracy as possible while also realizing we are in a make believe land and it is television, and sometimes you gotta you gotta make
Yeah,
sacrifices
there's some liberties.
for the shock value of things. But for the most part, yeah, it's all pretty true to how things would go.
Those little details, though, I think, even if you're not necessarily, familiar, like if you don't work in that field, I still think those like little details go a long way in adding to the authenticity and just kind of keeps you, invested in the show too. Because if little things like that could really pull someone out pretty easily out of a viewing experience.
Yeah, totally. And the details are like for me too as an actor, like it's also fun to figure out those details as well. Like I get enjoyment out of it. So
What have you've talked about kind of just like reflecting like on yourself, your own experiences. What have you kind of learned about yourself along this journey of playing Kristi over these past, like 3 years?
Yeah, great question. I think when we started season one, I had just come off of like COVID nursing. I had booked the job and had left the hospital. And like a week later, I was on an airplane to Halifax, Nova Scotia to shoot a television show. Like, this is crazy. So I had a lot of, yeah, inner work to do in terms of just hospital things. But I got to work through it by playing her because she's also going through hell and back. So it was a meta weird trip. That was really hard at times because it's my own experiences coming through this character, and at times I felt kind of overwhelmed with it, but I was like, also this is the job. This is why I love acting. It's understanding my own humanity through playing someone else, and also starting to see where her and I converge, but also diverge and become different people. I've learned a lot playing her too. I mean, I've learned a lot from her by playing her, and like the type of patience and focus and kind of the walls that you have to build in order to do the type of work Kristi does is wild. Like when I was nursing, I found it really hard to do that. I'm a very sensitive person, so why I'm an actor. So I was deeply affected by like everything that I saw, and I oftentimes didn't feel like I had that type of strength that Kristi has. But eventually, like you do start to crack, right? And we start to
Yeah.
see that with Kristi, especially when Marielle rises into town. It's like this facade that she had built up for herself that we see in season one. This strength, yeah, of course, when your beloved arrives and everything around you is crumbling and everything that you thought you knew was true is gone, yeah, you start to see her, you really start to see her humanity
That must be
and her, yeah.
a lot of fun just to kind of like, as like the seasons are going on too, getting to like kind of peel back those layers of the character of who you thought maybe she was like initially when you first started the show compared to, now a couple seasons
Yeah, and
later.
I think you grow along with them, like, and I think John, our creator, does like a really beautiful job of like listening to us as actors of like things that we want to explore as well. Like he always uses this analogy of like, he's like, I made this show and it's a buffet and you are all the buffet. But each of you is like a specialized dish. So you're going to know your specialized dish the best. So of course I want to hear what the special dish has to say so that it makes my buffet more tasty. I think that's what he says.
I
Something like
love
that.
I love
You
that
know.
he uses that as an analogy though, just based off the fact that like there's monsters that eat people in
Yeah.
the series as
Yes.
well.
Like everyone's just hungry.
That's
Um,
that's kind of funny.
but yeah, no, yeah, it's been such a wild ride.
And talk about just like one of those examples of like right place, like right time. But just to have, like you said, you were coming from a healthcare background, coming out of COVID, and then all of a sudden you get this role where it's just all these
Yeah,
things kind of merging together
yeah,
at once. It's like that doesn't happen too often. So I'm sure that's been just like a wild ride for you as well.
yeah, totally. Like a total trip. Yeah, I tried to go back to nursing after season one and season two, and it was hard. It
Oh
was
yeah.
hard. It was like, oh,
Yeah,
those
no.
walls that we talked about, yeah, they don't live anymore. So I'm too sensitive for it. But yeah, no, nursing's taught me so much about acting and um, people as a whole. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely one of the best decisions I've ever made.
And hats off to, I mean, all the nurses, doctors out there. Thank you, for your service as far as, helping people with what you've done in that field. It's a tough job, and I can't even imagine doing that, but then also doing acting at the same time. That's just like mind blowing.
Yeah, I mean they fed each other. I think acting and being an artist gave me a place to put all of the big feelings of what it meant to work in healthcare, and I realize how lucky I am to have that. I look at some of my hospital colleagues, and it's really 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 hard, really really hard job, and a very thankless job too, very not glamorous. So
I'm sure, like, I mean, they probably appreciate you, like, just the effort that you brought to, with this character and portraying her. And I don't know if you have like any of your friends that are in the field maybe and like watch the show at all, but I'm sure they appreciate getting to see like a character like this on there as well.
Yeah, they're all so sweet, and they were all really rooting for me. And when I was auditioning a lot and nothing was happening, like they were just keep going, keep going. So yeah, no, I owe the fifth floor Donnelly Wing at St. Michael's Hospital in Toronto, Ontario, my life. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this series, like we were kind of talking about a little bit before, like we jumped on, just these characters have gone through so much over these past couple of years. How do you kind of prepare yourself emotionally and mentally to film some of these scenes? Because I'm sure it can be very rewarding to get to kind of act out some of these moments and stuff like that with these characters, but I'm at the same time I'm sure it's also emotionally exhausting at the end of the day for some of these scenes as well.
Yeah, no, great question that you posed there. I think for some scenes, yeah, there is a catharsis element to it. It feels good to feel, especially for scenes where Kristi does get to have a bit more of a feeling and an expression because we see her quite contained all the time. So as an actor, it just feels good to be able to let it out here and there. But sometimes it's really, sometimes the feeling overtakes you too much, and then you are veering away from the character that you're playing. And sometimes that can work, and sometimes it doesn't. Like for instance, the scene we were shooting where Tian-Chen, where Kristi walks in and sees Tian-Chen's body for the first time, and Jade, Kristi asks Jade to help. I lost it. Like I couldn't stop weeping. And our director, I'm just like in the middle, we're in the middle of shooting, and I'm just so weepy. And he just goes, cut, Chloe, way too weepy. And I'm like, but, and I totally understood what he was getting at. It was too much for the scene. The scene wasn't about Kristi's feelings at all. Like there did need to be a bit more nuance to that. But yeah, an example of just like you get overpowered sometimes by your feeling.
Yeah,
And as an actor, it's your job to rein it in and play that instrument in a way that makes sense for the story as a whole, not because you have big feelings to get let out. It's yeah, each scene requires something different to be very in check with yourself, but also know what the story needs.
and I mean, I don't blame you at all for like I said, watching
Yeah.
that episode. I mean, I probably would have had the same,
Yeah.
reaction. And the fact
Chloe.
that it just shows the kind of person that Christy is, that because, you realize that she's like, I've never done this before. And she
Mm-hmm.
took that responsibility on because, she cares about, him as like a character. She's like, I want to make sure that his mom, looks good. And just like when she's like, yeah, I've never done this before. And I was like, oh my, like it was just moment after moment in that episode. I was like, God, this episode is killing me right now. So I can't imagine like, yeah,
Yeah.
filming some of those scenes.
And I think because we're also in the third season now, like us as actors care about one another on like an intimate level. Like it's not just about the work. Like we've gotten to know each other so well. They are like we are like a weird family. So it's just really easy to drop into stuff. It feels really real and alive because you have genuine care. You're not really acting. You're just existing kind of together in these fucked up circumstances.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could speak to this. How does Christy kind of keep herself going? And I don't know if that's something that maybe we'll see explored like more as we go along in like season three, but it's just like I can't imagine. I feel like especially her and like Boyd just seem to have like the world on their shoulders because Christy,
Yeah.
especially being, the main nurse here,
Mm-hmm.
just having Marielle coming back into her life, last season. How does she do it?
Yeah. Honestly, I would love to know too. I could use a little bit of whatever she's doing there. I'll tell you that. But no, I think um a lot of colleagues I worked with had that type of uh in the hospital resilience and strength and didn't make their problems other people's problems. So I modeled a lot of that of her off of them. I mean, I had little bits and pieces of that in my own experience of healthcare work, but yeah, again, I was just like such a sensitive teary girl that like that me just being myself wasn't going to be the right move for this character that John had beautifully written. So yeah, it was just like knowing I had witnessed, had bared such witness to that type of like strength, that quiet strength, and but also that quiet vulnerability too, is yeah, kind of how what has shaped Kristi into who she is. But yeah, the girl needs some therapy. The girl needs a drink. The girl needs a break. The
Oh
girl needs
yeah.
some loving.
If like
Yeah,
these guys, if if they find a way to get out of this, situation by the end of the series, it's like please like have her just go on like a couple months vacation or something like that. Just
yeah. I
she
just
deserves
wonder.
it.
I wonder if she's due. I wonder if she's like due for a bender or something. If who knows what's going to happen to her. You can only go so far, right? But
Yeah.
we'll see. But it's also, yeah, it's interesting. We think that we've reached our limit, but then we keep going. And I mean,
Yeah.
again, back to working during COVID, I saw so many of my colleagues do that. You do what you have to do to survive. And she knows her purpose there, and she knows if she slips, it costs a lot for the town, right? So I think
Yeah.
that's ultimately what keeps her going, but
It's
not without consequence to her mental health.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, and but it's really inspiring just to see a character have that kind of, strength, and then like individuals in real life, like you said as well, because I mean that's a lot to handle for one person. So anybody going through that, like
Yeah,
God bless you. It definitely, it takes a lot for sure. And you've gotten to work with both Kaelen and Ricky quite a bit, obviously over
yeah,
these past like couple seasons. What's it been like to work with those two, and what have they brought as scene partners, for you, and how have they helped elevate your own performance as your character in the series?
yeah. um Ricky, who plays Kenny, yeah, he's a wonderful guy, and we've had 3 seasons now together. So yeah, there's just like a big rapport there, and it's easy, and he's so goofy but also so focused and generous, and lots of allowing going on. And I think the Kristi Kenny dynamic has grown into what it is because yeah, we both have a lot of trust in each other as actors. And yeah, it's hard stuff, but ultimately like we both goof off a lot too together. So yeah, no,
Imagine
wonderful.
you
And
have
yeah,
to.
part of you have to for sure. And yeah, Kaelen also super wonderful, very very focused, very very dedicated actor. um our dynamic started off like the Kristi Marielle dynamic started off in such a place of tension and conflict. So yeah, as actors, Kaelen and I really had to like kind of tease that apart to agree on some things, even though our characters were coming from such different points of view. So yeah, it took a bit more time to like figure out what our dynamic was, but also so it's the same with these characters. So it was again this
Yeah.
kind of like meta reality of us like seeing what's going on here, which is great. Um, I'm excited to see where it goes in the show as well. But yeah, I know both super super great, dedicated actors. I mean, Kaelen Kaelen's job last season was wild, like to have to go through all that withdrawal stuff, and she's so committed to it that yeah, I really admired her commitment to being as true to possible to someone going through withdrawal. So yeah, it
And
was
especially
intense, really intense.
coming onto a series too. I mean, going into like the second season, it's like you already have like this crew that's already kind of built a rapport, and so I know sometimes that
Yeah,
can be challenging, coming in as kind of like the new person. But yeah, she killed it with her
she
performance.
she yeah she held her own, and yeah, certainly was of course welcomed by everybody because everyone's great.
Yeah. And both you guys, I mean, both you guys, the just the chemistry between your characters, it's been really fun to kind of see that unfold with both of those relationships and the dynamics between them. So I can't wait to see what's in
Yeah,
store for the rest of the season and for the,
me
for the
too.
series. Reflecting back on, and obviously I'm sure, obviously you're proud of all the work that you've done on the series, but reflecting back on these past 3 seasons, is there a particular episode or a scene that sticks out for you that you were really proud of the work that you had done there, and why does that particular moment maybe stick out for you?
Yeah, I think That's a great question. I have to think back in the Rolodex
I
of it
say
all.
honestly, yeah, nothing for with season three that we haven't seen so far. So anything probably like seasons one, two, or maybe like the first like two episodes of the new season.
Yeah, I think all of that nuance with the grief with Ken between Kenny and Kristi and holding that. I'm really proud of that work that Ricky and I did. I think it's a careful dance of like letting an audience into the feeling, but also um, giving the space for Kenny to feel his feelings. But I mean, Ricky's so wonderful. I remember shooting that, and I wanted to just collapse too. But Chloe wanted to, but Kristi couldn't. So, yeah, having to like really tamper that to just be in a place of receiving was challenging, but so rewarding. I think it really paid off. And again, the scene with Tian-Chen's body, and again, me, Chloe, having such a visceral reaction to it, but having to do the work of an actor to be like, it's not the place. um, yeah, and then also, all the medical scenes have been so fun to bring technical skills from my other life into this, like the surgery scene with Ellis, where he has like he needs to have his lung decompressed. Like,
Oh, yep.
it was so fun to be able to jam on that. I brought in one of my friends. She's an acute care paramedic and has done like that procedure multiple times. So I brought her
Oh,
on a
wow.
Zoom with our writer, and I think our VFX person or our props person was there too, and we just got to like really jam on it to make it feel as real as possible. So yeah, all
Right.
sorts of stuff in there.
They must have they're like, thank God for having Chloe here so we can
Or maybe not. I mean, like, oh, Chloe, not again. Just let it go.
we gotta go through and fix all this stuff
Oh
again.
my God, Chloe, no one's gonna know it. No, they're cute.
No, but
Sometimes I wonder, if I'm
I
like claiming too much, but
I
no.
do appreciate that, and one moment too that I wanted to bring up. So in the episode two for the new season, and you were kind of talking about it, just the moment where Kenny sits down, or he's kind of standing, and he says, "I just need to like sit down for a second," and you see Kristi just kind of sit there and go like, "Okay, okay," and she just kind of backs off and sits down at the table. Just like that little moment, I really loved that little piece of the episode right there. Just letting him kind of like you said feel his feels and go through what he's going through. Like
Mhm.
that was really special.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not hard to do when you work with someone like Ricky. He's just who just shows up and does the thing. Like, there's no acting. You just have to listen
Yeah.
and not make it about you. And that's the job.
And is there, I know, so where we've seen, like gotten seen a couple of the episodes like so far, is there anything that you can just kind of generally tease about what to expect in season three or Christie's journey in general, or
I mean, this season's insane. Like, you just don't. You're not like, no one's gonna expect what they're gonna see, like,
I
at
mean,
all.
yeah, what?
I just remember receiving the, because we don't get we get the episodes kind of like one or two at a time.
Yeah.
Um, so we kind of only know as much as our characters know as we're shooting too. So yeah, we would, whenever we would get a new episode, we have like a group chat with all the cast, and we're just like, oh my God, I didn't see this coming. Like, wait, what? What do you mean? Huh? John, what is in your brain? Like, just, it was cute. Yeah. Yeah. It's wild. I'm so excited for the world to see it. I think it's, our best season yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I can't wait just from like what we've seen like so far. I mean, if it's anything, like the first like two seasons, it's gonna keep you on your feet, like every
Yeah.
episode, you don't know what to expect. So just to wrap things up for you, Chloe, is there anything else? Is there any other projects that you have coming up that you're allowed to speak on, and where can fans, just kind of keep up to date with your work in general?
Yeah, totally. I have this crazy horror film coming out at some point called Son of Sarah. It's a queer horror film where it follows the lead up to my girlfriend and I's birth of our baby, but things have been amiss this pregnancy, this whole time. There's been something not quite right. It's kind of an ode to Rosemary's Baby, but
Ooh.
gay. And it's wild. It's yeah, definitely a whole other side of what you've seen in terms of Kristi. She's not Kristi.
All right, excellent. I
Yeah,
mean, horror. I mean, that's like my favorite genre, so I'm there for sure. So I'll have to
yeah,
definitely have to keep an eye out for that. And
so,
I know you're on Instagram. Any other
yeah,
socials that fans can keep up to date with your work?
yeah.
Or
Instagram's the main one. The rest, I TikTok. What is that? People keep telling me to get on TikTok, and I'm like, I'm afraid of it.
yeah, no, I mean, I rarely use it myself, so I totally understand. Yeah, yeah. Thank you so
Yeah,
much, Chloe, for for your time today. It was wonderful getting to talk to you about the show. Make sure
yeah,
you
you
guys tune
too.
in to MGM Plus to watch from this season. It's going to be a hell of a ride. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much again, Christy, and you're welcome back anytime in the future.
Thanks so much,
Oh,
Pat. Hey there, it's Chloe. I play Kristi on From, and you're watching Pop Culturist with Pat.